what's up, trash talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
And so my honesty cap is dedicated to a little, we'll call it a public service announcement for civilians and other people in the military. There are a few people that you should always take their stories with a grain of salt. Vegans, CrossFitters, and special operations guys that tell you that they were special operations without being prompted. The first thing they say is, yeah, I used to be soft. Right. The only unicorn in that entire group is like a special operations guy that was like a vegan and did CrossFit. That guy's probably going to stay quiet for a little bit longer because he's confused as what he should talk about first. And that's the only reason. Right. Anybody that says that they were soft without being prompted or without it being like a normal part of your communications is probably either an enabler or going to tell you a bunch of stuff that's not exactly true.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Hitting you up this morning with a special promo on how to dress when you are doing PT in civilians, but you want everybody to know you're an Army. This comes from the Buddy Beckwith fashion design of how to work out. So first, you can notice the RI panties. Not Ranger panties, but Ranger instructor panties. The green socks, the knee brace for the old guys. Don't forget the M frames. Now the shirt, don't wear the Trash Talk shirt while you're running. This is just for the promo. You want to put on like an 80-second shirt or like your favorite airborne shirt so everybody knows that you're a veteran. That's the most important thing. And you start with this stretch. Buddy Beckwith taught me this one. Ready to go.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What's up, Gruntworks Nation? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 20 of the Trash Talk Hour. Returning guest today is A-Guy with Flag to Remember. And today I'm joined by the Big Earl and the Baker. What's up, y'all?
Is it A-Guy? Is it like
no, that's
like
just my
guy?
name. It's Anthony Peterson is my real name.
Is it a guy? Like, is this?
Oh, no, it's like
A
A-Guy. Like, I'm just
a guy on the show.
Just A-Guy, yeah.
We just brought a guy on the show.
Yeah. A-Guy.
You'd be surprised at how many.
That's what he goes by on Facebook and all that stuff. So it's A-Guy, right?
I get all.
We did have a homeless Air Force veteran on here once.
We did.
I promised him peanut butter and a banana, and he came in and did the show. But like, it's we just found a guy. We're like, hey, we'll call you a guy. No,
A-Guy. Yeah. Nice shirt, Nick. You want to promote it? I'm not wearing it because I don't have that shirt. Look, I'm wearing the only infantry. This is one of my favorite right here.
And again, this is for most logical people, which I'm not going to get into my book of role now, but it's very, very heavy into logic. Only if go back to the heart shirt, right? Nobody likes Valentine's Day or these Hallmark holidays, right? Like they're designed to make you spend money for no freaking reason, right? Like at all. However, if you have to, because you have those people that are emotional basket cases and they have to get a gift on Valentine's Day, and especially veterans, right? Male veterans are very triggered all the time, and they just want a little bit of love, right? A little bit of appreciation. So if you're dating a veteran, all right, you're dating an active duty guy who just needs that pat on the back, all right, get him this heart shirt, all right? Everybody likes candy shirts, all right, and all these guys like what's on there, all right? 7.62, 5.56, all right? Maybe we could have done 45, caliber as opposed to 9 mil, but
the
it
God's
is what
caliber.
it is, all right? Let's start small. So get your loved one the Valentine's Day shirt, all right? My daughter even said it was cute today. Just saying. Just saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
winning,
Wow.
winning.
Mhm.
Good. No hate on that one. Just a bunch of hate on the shirt that I'm
Dave,
wearing,
your
huh?
mom's watching.
Oh,
Hi,
hey,
Dave's mom. Yeah.
Hey.
Dave's mom's watching, and Dave's wearing that shirt. That's awesome.
Ooh.
I don't think my
Somebody
mom
scan a QR code.
I don't
Hey,
think she
put in the
understands the
code
concept of only infantry.
VTTGW, all caps. All right, 2 of them. VTTGW, all caps. Get yourself a discount. We don't make any money on them anyways. We actually make more money posting the picture on the shirt on Facebook in bonuses than we do selling the shirt. So
We do.
It's
It's a true thing. Yeah. So you guys doing well?
Yeah.
Good. We got Chris here because Buddy's busy buying a truck in Atlanta.
I mean,
is that what's going on?
I don't know if that's what he's doing.
I don't
know. I mean,
he used to do shows from the middle of a river, but his excuse is, I'm not going to have service.
Yeah. I mean, Bill tried that last night on our fight show. He's
Bill crashed the gate, I heard.
Yeah, he's a Garrison Sergeant Major at Fort Sill.
Yeah, I heard he crashed the gate.
Yeah, and he's like, my power is going to be out. I'm like, you could still do the show without power because you have a cell phone.
Yeah.
And, he's like, I'm just real busy. And I'm like, he doesn't want to tell me what happened. And yeah, the Garrison Sergeant Major is not a fun life, especially the one at, Fort Liberty when they were like all over every social media platform because they couldn't throw the trash away. Right. Like that dude's life was miserable. And he's like, dude, I'm just a Garrison Sergeant Major. Like, okay, now I got to go around and take pictures of dumpsters for you. Okay. Got it. Right. So again, we talked about this pre-show, as enlisted guys, we're never really in charge. Yeah. All right. We're in charge of a couple of you dudes, like when you're on my fire team or you're in my squad, like I own your life, like you're mine. Right. Yeah. But that power only lasts for like a year because then we move. So like, it's like, you're never really in charge of anybody. But yeah, it's a rough life. And there was a certain person of a certain rank wasn't doing the right thing. And there were generals calling, and of course they're not going to do anything on a Friday night, but Garrison Sergeant Major going to
Garrison Sergeant Major better get busy.
Yeah. When was this?
You about to go to work.
When did this happen?
Last night.
Yesterday.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's probably sitting at his garrison commander's house, who's an awesome dude, by the way. Won't drop his name. Great American, and just a great leader. And he's probably drowned himself away in a bottle of bourbon after that. So I mean, what else is he supposed to do? So
that happens.
Oh man, we got a lot of viewers right now. I guess it's that YouTube thing again, huh?
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
Hey, if you're on YouTube, do us a favor, give us a like, and then hit that subscribe button. It's free. You don't have just hit it. All right. It helps the cause, helps push out the movement, and get us through those algorithms because we have been shadow banned on YouTube for close to 2 years now, and we're starting to actually pick up some steam. So, like, subscribe.
Yeah. Hey, Derek with a C. All right. Don't try to church that shit up. All right. Put the K on it like everybody else. Okay. But no, we got a big partner here, 10th Mountain Whisky. All right. So go get your bottle of 10th Mountain Whiskey. Go to 10thmountainwhiskey.com. The code VTT and get yourself a discount. They're really, really cool. They're not veteran owned.
They're veteran run though.
They're veteran run, but whatever. Like, so is Grunt Style. They're not veteran owned either. Bunch of fucking posers. But
the second guy at the top of 10th Mountain is a veteran.
Let me just give them their props. All right. Can I just do that? Right.
Stop Chris.
The distillery was started on where 10th Mountain originated in World War I. And they are very, very big supporters of every cause. We literally call those guys and say, hey, we got this nonprofit doing this. You guys want to be a part of it? Yes. Like they don't even hesitate. So really awesome dudes there. So go to 10thmountainwhiskey.com, put in the code VTT, and get a discount. Now, you did say it's free to subscribe. However, if you go to that QR code and subscribe, that will cost you money. All right. That way, that up there, that one. Okay, that one will cost you money. That is subscribing to either Gruntworks or Veteran Trash Talk. That one goes to Veteran Trash Talk. All of the money that goes to will go to guys like Anthony. All right, we don't keep a single dime of that. We use that money to promote the shows that we do. So if you don't have a lot of money to donate to nonprofits, a simple $9.99 a month. You'll get a discount on a t-shirt if you answer the emails from the subscriber group. And then you'll also just be part of the family that's promoting veteran-owned businesses, nonprofits, whatever we promote. You'll get to be a part of it, say you're a part of it. So that's all that does. Again, we don't make a dime off of it. So you scan it, we'll just give it away. All right. Does that work?
Good stuff. Yeah. Let's get to business, Chris. I think you're going to cover, we got a lot going on in the world right now.
We're doing what everybody else is doing because we're a bunch of posers. Now we're the Vet Bro podcast.
Yeah.
You could have come up with something.
I come up with everything, Chris.
Oh.
I literally come up with 99% of the show.
All right, so real quick, what we're going to talk about is the Black Hawk incident that happened in DC. Actually, not far from me. It was a helicopter. People are saying that it's a missile and all that, but this kind of dives deeper into why it happened more so than did it actually happen. It happened, but this kind of goes into why it happened. Was it deep state shit? Was it, are we doing something with the Saudis? It's pretty interesting. I said it to Dave, and Dave's like, yeah, do that. So when we play the video, it's about 2 minutes long.
Expect me to believe that a Black Hawk helicopter collided with an American Airlines flight in DC's most modern and secure airspace. An American Eagle flight that was en route from Wichita, Kansas. Does anybody know about what's happening in Kansas right now? A major Chiburka what outbreak? Putting that aside, I just so happened to track the helicopter's path as well before you were unable to all of a sudden. And boy, did I discover a lot of very interesting information, but we'll get to that here in a second. Do you know how many Russians alone were on that flight? And do keep in mind, no one is believed to actually have survived that mid-air collision. But I really shouldn't have to say much more considering they were Russian personnel. Now let's keep in mind, there has been reported to be 3 US military personnel that were on board that helicopter. No names have been released as of yet, but this is the really interesting part. When you were able to track the helicopter's flight path, it just so happened to originate from a very specific address. Now, I'm not necessarily sure that I can name out an address on TikTok without receiving a violation, so I'm going to be putting it in the comment section below. But the current owners are the Embassy of Saudi Arabia. And when I noticed that, my instant reaction was, what? What is a Black Hawk helicopter doing taking off from that location? And does anybody remember the Las Vegas incident? Because if you don't, and you haven't gone down that rabbit hole already, I highly suggest that you do. Or you can watch one very specific video from an individual named Ian Carroll on X. You probably already know who he is. His name is Cancel This Clothing Company on TikTok. Because he actually did a full rundown on everything that you need to know about it. And if you watch that video, then you obviously know why I'm mentioning that incident. But there are numerous Saudi Arabian diplomats and scholars residing at that address. And like I stated, I'm going to be putting it in the comment section below so you can actually go check that out for yourself.
So, I personally think it happened, but where you start questioning things is, were they directed into each other purposefully? Was it pure accident? That one to me is kind of like where this gets interesting and is like, and I went and watched that video that he mentioned from Ian Carroll. And it goes into the 2016 tragedy at the country festival. How
Mandalay Bay.
Yeah, how that with everything the way it was laid out isn't really possible. How they laid it out, and supposedly there was I didn't know this personally, but the top floors of Mandalay Bay are actually owned by the Saudi prince.
Oh.
Like that's not even U.S. territory. It's owned by Saudi Arabia. Like I had no idea. And supposedly they were saying it was some arms deal that went bad. Like there's a whole bunch into it. I dove deep into this rabbit hole. I felt a lot like Dave and had to break out my tinfoil hat and everything. It was weird. But I guess my question is, do you think that it was pure accident, or do you think that there was targets on there and more than just 3 people on that Blackhawk that they wanted to get rid of? We'll let Anthony go first on this one.
Yeah, we'll let okay, go ahead.
Anthony, I think last time Anthony was on a show, we didn't do the conspiracy.
This is a new thing. This is a new thing. We'll let you think about it.
We changed the format to where we have to answer a conspiracy that we don't know really anything
like
about.
Eric's bullshitting.
Yeah. I'll go first since I don't really talk as much as Nick does or Buddy. But obviously, first and foremost, what a tragedy. And my heart goes out to all the family members and everybody that was affected by that. I mean, I don't know what the number was on what the death toll was, but from my understanding, it was pretty high.
Everybody,
like, nobody made it.
66 souls on the plane and then 3 for the helo, I think.
Yeah. So I tried to look into the flight path stuff that you discussed, but I really didn't find much on it. And then the more research I did was that area specifically has been an issue for years now. That there's been mid-air collisions that have almost occurred on multiple occasions, right there in that area. And I think this time it was just the tragedy that unfolded, and it happened after several warnings over the last few years. And then obviously Nick's going to add to this. Nick knew the pilot, right?
I knew the
right, Nick?
pilot.
So at first the names weren't getting released and a lot of people were buzzing over social media, but that's kind of common, right? Like an investigation, but until all the family members are notified, they're not going to release any names, right? We went through this in Iraq when they shut off all the internet, or Afghanistan whenever you were deployed. So I get all that. It definitely wasn't a rocket thing. I just think it was a tragedy that happened. I don't think there's too much conspiracy behind it. Now, obviously the plane crash in Pennsylvania now, right? There's been several plane crashes in the last
There was one
week.
in Santa Monica too.
Santa Barbara, but those are rich people that crash their planes all the time.
Smaller planes, right? Just now they're just talking about it, right? Because it's a thing. What I want to tell everybody, it's freaking out. Planes are still the safest means of travel compared to driving in a vehicle. If you look at the amount of accidents that happen. So if you're out there freaking out, I don't want to fly anymore, I think you're good to go. Personally, I just think it was a tragedy. Something needs to happen in that airspace. They need to figure it out. And that's my take.
Yeah.
A guy.
Out of the house as well. I don't think, I think I've known a few people to fly some Blackhawks, and, I don't know much about flying other than, complacency is always going to be something when you do it enough. And so I think it's a simple, I think it probably leans a little bit towards the military side. But as far as in this situation, but yeah, I mean, it's nighttime and all these pilots are doing the same thing every single day. So I think it's just an unfortunate situation. And I don't think there's a lot of conspiracy to it, but I'd love to hear what you guys think, if there's something crazy out there going on.
Yeah.
Well, I know flight path stuff is interesting, but I couldn't, after Chris mentioned that in the video, because Chris sent me this video at the very beginning of the week, and in the video they're talking about nobody knows who the pilots were. Obviously, again, like I alluded to earlier, that was all mentioned, and Nick knowing the pilot actually. But the flight path stuff, I couldn't find anything on that. So I don't know if there's something to it. I'm not saying that there isn't.
Yeah, they have a lot of the actual radio calls and even the warnings from the tower, and then there was no responses from the helicopter. Hey, what altitude are you at? They're asking them.
Yeah,
and
right.
Well, and a lot of stuff came out on the altitude specifically. That specific flight path is a 200-foot ceiling. And they were saying they were at about 150.
Here's I won't get too much into it because this guy is obviously, clickbait on TikTok, which is, what we do on social media now. We're guilty of it as well. We want clicks on our stuff because it gets us paid. Right. We don't put the naked chicks all over the place and just bullshit out there, but we do have some fun posts. But again, people who now we have they don't understand that something like this happens. They can't wrap their brain around just how easy it is for something like this to happen with one little misstep, right? which is, you know, when you've done jobs that require a lot of safety and protocol, to where, like, I graduated from the Buddy Beckwith Pathfinder School, right? And you technically get a certification as an air traffic controller as a Pathfinder, right?
And let's add, you only graduated because you knew the instructor.
That's the Buddy Beckwith part
by
of it.
no means. In fact, the first time I did a veers drop on a little drop zone on Fort Bragg, the first jump, some guy landed in a chicken coop like fucking 2 miles off of the survey drop zone. All right. So like, but that one wasn't my fault. That was the pilot's fault. All right. And like, it is what it is. But I did everything that I was supposed to do safety wise. So when they did the investigation of why this dude landed, like, you know, in Spring Lake somewhere, like it wasn't my fault. Right? I was like, dude, that pilot went on a 176-degree drop heading. He wasn't supposed to do that. Like, I told him that I offset the code letter, and that's why, you know, he's turning, but he's not turning on me. As a Pathfinder veers drop, you set it up so they turn on you on the code letter. But if the winds are too high at altitude, you have to offset the code letter, because the code letter is technically in the wood line, right? Because when they're jumping that high. So I'll tell the pilot, hey, I offset the code letter 200 meters. So when I tell you to turn, right, you stay on the same drop heading as planned for the jump, right? So when they turned, he went on a different drop heading, and there was only 5 jumpers out of a Sherpa. So like, I'm sitting here like I can't even radio fast enough to be like, oh shit. like, you know, and I'm like, and so like, I'm you call range control and be like, hey, we're gonna have some jumpers, you know, that are out of the survey drop zone, shut things down, yada, yada, yada. But anyways, getting off tangent there. I'm just saying, like, something that simple could have killed.
Yeah, so are you thinking like it was air traffic controls? Like,
no, it wasn't. This was 100% on the military.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I'm saying.
100%.
Because there was like no communication. Like,
there was 2 runways on Reagan. I fly in there all the time. All right, there's 2 runways on Reagan. Right,
check out that
they land, and it's very short runways. Those flight paths, those are the constants, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's the way they're landing. And then once those planes drop below 1,000 feet, they lose their abilities to get warnings of, you know, collisions.
I will say that conspiracies go, as far as conspiracies, one thing did come to my mind when I first heard it, and I don't know if you guys have heard this story in the community, but years back there were a couple, I don't know if they were Blackhawks, but a bunch of guys did kind of like a suicide collision, and so that was one thought I possibly thought, but I don't think in that scenario they would be willing to take, you know, civilians out to do what they were going to do. It would have been something different. So that's the only reason why I was like, there's no way that was intentional on their part for something like that.
Right. And again, I'm going to go to the most basic thing: offensive operations for the infantry. All right. What's the acronym, Dave? Do you remember it? For an offensive operation? All right. It's SCAT. All right.
I do not remember that.
Surprise, concentration, audacity, and tempo. All right. Okay. Audacity, when it comes to planning an offensive operation, is a simple plan boldly executed. If you want to go kill the enemy, right, don't overcomplicate it. Just go do it. Right? Do it the way that we maximize our concentration, our tempo, and we just go get it done. Right? Mm-hmm. So something we always want to think that there's way more to it. Right. And I get it. Sometimes those things we need to ask why they happened. And here's what I wanted to talk about this, because I hate, and then you'll get the political issues. Like the Duffel blog came out with a great post about your Duffel blog guide to using a tragedy for your political opinions. You know, like it's something. It's not wrong to ask why it happened.
Absolutely,
it's not wrong to start looking into it. And as we know how the American public, you know, in 1 week won't even be talking about this most likely, right? So we need to ask and find out what happened, because we need to learn from it and see why
prevent it from happening again. Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And if you just look it up on the FAA website, how many close collision alerts, the CA or whatever, we've had in the last 10 years,
Tons.
Right? They have increased dramatically. Right.
So traffic in the air.
Yeah, it's more traffic in the air, whether it's more or less qualified pilots. We had a pilot shortage during COVID, because why would you go for a profession when, nobody's hiring and you don't know if these planes are ever going to fly again.
Yep.
So now they're begging for pilots. So I don't think it was on them whatsoever. It was on the Army. And again, dude, throw them all out there. Throw all the DEI bullshit out there, everything you want out there. But I can tell you right now that our United States military, in my professional opinion, is probably the least disciplined I've ever seen it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I think part of that is because of who was in charge. And it trickles down. And again, we're putting people in positions because it's political gain for someone else. Well, that's going to have effects later on, right? Now, again, this incident, I'm not so sure. I'm not going to put it to that. I'm not going to do that. But we do definitely need to find out, what happened.
Yeah.
Like what was going on. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. And again, I wasn't friends with the pilot. I just knew the pilot. I knew his wife. I knew their family. So, and then like this clown saying they haven't released the names yet because you have no idea what it takes to release a DOD member's name when they die. They got to they got to notify the next of kin first, right? 100%. Like they got to do all these processes.
There's a process to it. There's a process.
There's an entire process before they do it. And then for the tuberculosis outbreak in Wichita, Kansas, right? I do get to brag a little bit. I'm kind of a CDC expert. I had to be for the Sergeant Major's Academy. The CDC wants you to look up what they determine as an outbreak of tuberculosis. It's a really, really simple answer. More cases than expected in that area. So if there's 3 cases in some
and they have 5
town in Topeka, that's a lot more than they probably expected for that area. All right, so it's considered an outbreak, right?
79 cases confirmed right now.
Yeah. They do have a lot there, but I'm just saying, they have an outbreak, and everybody panics because they think it's like
Well, they're comparing it to 2022 numbers where there was a total of 52 for the year and 46 in 2023.
And if you want to go down that rabbit hole of correlation, it's like you have all of these anti-vaxxers now.
Yep.
Where because it's part of the government's fault as well, and Fauci's fault for
trust the science,
making us have to question what these vaccines are. Guys, the vaccines that are like 100 years old and have been through 7 billion trials and have proven to eradicate viruses that kill people.
Yeah.
Like probably should get that. Like it's a good idea.
I had somebody try to argue that the polio vaccine was the same as the COVID one recently.
Like, oh my God. And again, we made these arguments before. We have never eradicated a respiratory virus. Ever. Does it mean we should stop trying? No.
Of course not.
But it's like, don't tell me that this is the one vaccine that's finally going to do it 3 weeks into being created. No. But the tuberculosis vaccine, the smallpox vaccine, the polio vaccine,
yeah, those are kind of important. They work. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll go get them. Yikes. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we can.
So what you got for the Book of Earl,
bro? I those of you watching for the first time.
Wait,
Nick
hold
called
on.
me yesterday
Dave's already
for like 20 minutes.
heard it because I
hold on.
I thought I was on candid camera.
Well, ready? Are you
yesterday.
ready?
Huh? Oh yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Book of Earl, chapter 1, verse 1. Quit being a triggered pansy. Now, again, it's not a political shirt. It can be political, but it's not. It's designed for you to wear. It's designed for you to wear to remind yourself. And then it will create conversation because people will be like, what's a triggered pansy? And I'll be like, well, you're starting to become one because you're triggered by my shirt and you felt like you had to approach me and ask me, right? And you want to put it to something. But that's obviously the emphasis of all of the Book of Earls is quit being a triggered pansy. Well, I had as the world evolves, and I share these stories off of my own triggerings, right? Where I screwed up, where I was an emotional moron, right? Where I did something dumb. However, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip it to where I was able to control my emotions the other day. And I was going to get on something where I was triggered about, I'm so happy that This is a big win for humanity and logical people. Remember, logic's important here. That we are now referring to people by their sexes again in the military. That is a massive, massive fucking win for the DoD. Again, if you work for Google and Google's like, we're still going to talk about gender, that's great. I support that too, because like that's their right to
Free
do that as a
speech.
company, as a private company. Like, do it. All right, do it all. Make it all your whatever you want. Right, that's awesome. And if I don't like it, I don't have to work for Google. That's the beauty of America. But in the DoD, let's make it real simple again. We are stronger when we sign up people who want to go fucking murder people. All right, and I say murder in a probably a bad context. When we go kill people,
there goes YouTube
we're gonna
again.
go win wars. All right, that's what we're gonna go do.
Our views
so
just
we
dropped on
suffer. We don't suffer from inclusion and equity.
Demonetization.
We're the most diverse group of people on the planet already. Right, an infantry platoon is diverse as shit.
100%.
More diverse than you've ever seen. Right. Yeah. We want to enlist people, and our recruiting numbers have been massively down for years. Why? Because we're focusing on the wrong thing. Our guy has to leave the camera. He can't talk about that. But we're better off when we destroy things. When we are bringing in the people that are like, yeah, I'll jump out of an airplane, and then I'm going to come destroy that toy. I'm going to destroy everybody in my path. That's what makes us strong. Okay, not DEI. But with that, what sex are you? Male or female? That's logical. That's backed by science, right? Like, and again, we are a very discriminatory job. It's very hard to get in. Dave knows this as a recruiter, right? If you got one leg that's shorter than the other one, sorry, find a different career, right? It just is what it is. But let me get in this. I had to write a new book yesterday. I had to write a new chapter. All right. And this chapter comes out of the feudalations. All right. Don't be futile. All right. With your emotions about gender or sex. Because it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. But focus more on being logical. Here's my story. Here's what brought it up. I moved to California.
There's your first
my choice.
mistake.
Okay. A lot of people moving from California to Texas. I did it backwards. I went from Texas to California. Trying to register my vehicles. All right. And I get it. It's going to cost more money than in Texas because it's California. They charge you for everything. Right. And so I understand. I'm already going in there expecting this. And it's a process with the DMV. And you're getting in there. Well, I go there 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I go in there. I have everything filled out because I'm a squared away Ranger, man. I've got everything filled, like everything ready. And this young lady there is being so nice to me, so polite. And she's like, oh, yeah, you didn't get a smog check yet. And I was like, oh, it said that cars over 8 years that are under 8 years old don't need one. Oh, if they were made in California, they don't need one. Okay. That's fine print. I understand, ma'am. You know, I got it. I'll go get it. And she's like, oh, and by the way, when are you officially a citizen of California, a resident of California? I said 1 January because I spent over 183 days in Texas. All right, tax purposes, that kind of stuff. And they're like, well, she's like, yeah, but you put your license date got issued in August. And I was like, well, yeah, it's because that's when I got my license. She's like, well, that's going to cost you a lot of money if you write that date. So when you come back tomorrow, write January 1st. You know, she's being real squared away. So I'm like, okay. So I get my smog checks. I refill out the paperwork. And I set up an appointment for the morning. And I'm in there. I got my coffee. I'm in a good mood, right? And so I'm going to get my plates. I'm going to get done with. I got a disabled veteran plate and a Purple Heart plate coming. You know, it's all good stuff. And I get my number called right away because I had an appointment. Everything's rocking and rolling for the DMV. I get up there. I got to set the tone. I'm not saying anything bad, but I get to this guy. His name's Brandon. All right, let's go, Brandon. And he's got rainbows all over his desk. And he says I'm in a safe space. He says I'm in a safe space with rainbows and colors. Okay. And I'm like, okay, all right. you know, and he's going through the paper. And first thing he says to me, and I have to do this, I'm not making fun of him, it's just the way he talks, right? It's, oh, did you bring that cover sheet? And I'm sitting here like, what cover sheet? And he's like, they gave you this, like these 2 sheets like this. And I was like, no, sir. I was like, I'm sorry. Like I took those off. They were just receipts, but I didn't make any payments. Oh, you didn't make any payments? Yeah, you should have made the payments. And I'm like, okay, granted, I didn't make the payments. We're good. Like that nice young lady down there told me I don't have to make payments yet. And so I didn't. I'm like, so can we just move on? You know, can we get past this? Yeah, I really wish you would. Okay, I'm starting to think now like I'm on candid camera. I'm about to get a massive reward. I'm like, if I'm nice to this guy, someone's gonna give me a check for 10 grand because there's a private camera on me and he's giving me so much shit right now for this one piece of paper. Like they're trying to trigger me, and I'm harnessing the Book of Earl. I'm not gonna be a triggered pansy. I'm just gonna freaking do what this guy's asking me to do, right? I'm gonna be nice. That's what's going in my head. And then he starts going through it and he's like, yeah, you put here that you're a resident 1 January, but you got your license in August. And I was like, yeah, because that lady right there told me to change the date because it says or. When did you issue your license or become a resident? And I was like, so I put the or. I put the or part down. And I'm talking just like this. And he goes, are you trying to tell me that in my 10 years of experience that I'm wrong? And I was like, whoa, this dude's mad as fuck, right? And I'm like, I'm on camera, bro. I gotta be, right? And so I'm like, I'm not trying to tell you to do your job, sir. He said, well, it seems to me like you are. You are speaking very, very confidently. And I was like, I'm blown. I was like, I've never heard somebody use that in a negative way before. Like, you're speaking confidently. What a jerk, right? Like, just like, so I was like, I still got to be me though. I still got to be the big Earl. I still got to be a smart ass somehow. I got to get figured in there. So we're running out of time for the guests here again, but like unless Anthony can go a little longer.
It happens every time, Anthony.
Not every time.
No, you guys can cut me off if I go too long.
No, you can
go as long as you want. So what I do now is I hide under the desk. Literally, I get below the desk and I go, excuse me, sir, can you help me with my plates? Right? And I stood back up and I go, was that what you wanted? Did you want me to be submissive? Like, and like, do that? And he goes, what you say has consequences, sir. And I was like, there's a lady there. I go, hey, ma'am, can you turn around? And there's another worker. I'm like, can you say that again so she can hear you? And I'm like, did you just tell me in a taxpayer-funded building that what I say has consequences? And then he gave me my bill and there was late charges on it. And I go, you want me to pay late charges for this? I go, how am I supposed to possibly register my vehicle? How am I late? Like, how am I possibly late? So, okay, short story. They send me to somebody else. And I'm talking to the lady. And I was like, ma'am, I go, the way I'm speaking right now, does it offend you?
Is it confident?
She looks up at me. She's like, no, why? I'm like, because I was just told that I was too confident. And I'm like, she looked at her friend working with her next to her, and I think they knew who I was working with before, and they started laughing, you know. And I was like, because I won't change my tone from how I'm talking right now. I won't change this entire conversation. I promise you. But I will change it for you if it's bothering you, you know. And she was like, no, you're fine. So I said, I want to talk to a manager after I'm done with this as well. So I registered the other vehicle, which was a more expensive vehicle and only paid like $100 more because there was no late fees. So I got one with no late fees and one with a late fee on the same fucking day from 2 different people. So I go walk past Brandon. I go, Brandon, look at this one doesn't have a late fee, right? And I walked around to the manager, and the manager's like, can I help you? And she's like, I kind of already heard. I'm sorry. And I go, you know what, ma'am? I go, I don't want this guy fired. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. I go, but have you ever seen South Park, ma'am? And she was like, I have. And I was like, You know that scene when Cartman gets his badge, you know, and
Respect
he starts
my
beating the
authority.
shit out of everybody with his nightstick, telling everybody to respect his fucking authority, you know. I was like, that's Brandon. I go, that's Brandon. Brandon's got his little DMV badge, and for that 15 minutes, I was at his beck. He had a full authority over me, right? And I obviously did not respect it. And so he beat the shit out of me, you know, with a late fee and his nightstick. And I go, so maybe, and she's laughing now. And I'm like, maybe you could just, you know, take him back and play that video for him as like a training aid. That just because you have the badge, Brandon, doesn't mean you beat the shit out of people, like, and tell them to respect your authority. Because it's perfectly okay for somebody who just moved to your communist state to ask you a question. Right? It's fine. Like, it is. But then that goes back to I'm just going to put a guess on who he voted for and what side of the bell curve he's on for this, if it's either gender or sexes. I'm going to lean one way with Brandon. I'm going to say he's one way. And then this goes into don't be futile with your emotions. And this is a real simple fix. You cannot have a logical argument or discussion with somebody who has made the social construct in their head that they should take it up the 2-hole every day. I'm just saying.
Nick.
I'm just saying. Like, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying don't try it. I'm not saying that you're a bad person for doing it.
And canceled.
But no, this is a football play. You run it to the 2-hole, Chris. Right? You run it to the 2-hole.
Yeah.
All right. Or call it the A-hole. You got the gaps, A, B, C, and D on football, right? You're running to the A-hole, right? So anybody who makes that social construct that is what they're going to do every day for the rest of their life, can't.
You saying they got to throw some passes in there?
Yeah. So again,
maybe go
Megan,
wide out.
Megan, I think I just became, again, this is not political. I'm just saying, Megan, you can probably guess where Brandon stands. Okay, you can probably guess. Right? And I thought I was in a safe space when I saw his desk, but I wasn't. I was in motherfucker's authority space. Like that, like Brandon had the badge,
Enemy
Brandon
territory.
had control. And I was too damn confident, Megan. I was too damn confident to be standing in front of Brandon and that badge. Take that, right? So again, from the book of Futilizations.
Jesus.
Don't be futile in your emotions about sexes or gender. Because if you're questioning what gender you are, you already lost. Because it's right there. Look down. That's you. All right. I'm done. I'll introduce Anthony again. So, anyways, at least I made Matthew happy. Right? Matthew's laughing. Matthew, vote for whoever you want to vote for. Bang whoever you want to bang. Nobody cares. Yeah. Nobody. All right? But
Brandon
might
get
mad at me. And I was wearing my Only Infantry hoodie. That's probably why he got mad. You know, so it was like,
yeah,
like, oh, look at this brute coming in here to talk to me. Like, oh, whatever. Brandon, I'll see you again. All right, I'll see you again, buddy. I'm gonna come in there and request your lane. And
you might have just been playing hard to get.
Yeah, maybe.
It wouldn't be the first time Nick's been hated on by a gay guy.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. Actually,
I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah. Like I do have that gaydar. I must have that gaydar somewhere because like dudes like me. It's a thing. All right. I don't know. Kind of makes people jealous, but look how pretty Dave is, but he doesn't get hit on by gay dudes because
I do all the time.
Is that when you look
at Dave's a power bottom?
Yeah, I'm not running for office, so you can cut this clip up all you want and say, you know, don't take it up the a-hole, like whatever, you know, like it's just it is what it is.
Just
like,
rewatch the show.
Noted.
Yeah, nobody
I'm downloading the whole
really
thing.
nobody gives two. I don't care. Like I'm not going to say I got gay friends, so that doesn't mean I'm a homophobe. Like I was in the infantry, that makes me not a homophobe. But so like cuddled with a lot of dudes. All right, but it was logical because I was cold. All right, not because Dave was cute, but because I was cold. All right, get
cold,
it?
Yeah.
All right, this is what it is. All right, I'm off. All right, I'm off my soapbox. But I just want to say I think I practiced chapter 1, verse 1. I didn't get triggered. I didn't become a pansy. I 100% got triggered. I didn't become a pansy about it. And I was able to de-escalate it and, make a nice South Park reference. Respect my fucking authority. Anthony, a Flag to Remember Foundation. I don't know if Chris is prepped. Do you have the photo from the event that we shared? Probably not. He'll get up there in a second. So we've had Anthony on the show before. He does tremendous stuff. He walks a really long way and then puts a flag and he'll explain it a lot better than we do. But I really was intrigued by it the first time I saw it. And the Facebook algorithm the last couple of weeks has been showing a lot of his stuff. And he's got a lot of things going on and a lot of great things going on. So I've been seeing it. And so I messaged him. I'm like, hey, man, you got new stuff coming up? Let's see if we can help this out. And help him raise some money for what he's doing. So if you are watching and you're able to help, this is, he probably can't talk too much about it, but it has nothing to do with his active duty status, but he is active duty Army and he decided to get off and, as we say, put some skin in the game and do something to help remember our fallen brothers. So this is the flyer he has recently. So Anthony, welcome back to the Trash Talk Hour, the Dumpster Fire. Tell us what you got going on and how we can all help.
I'll start with saying, yeah, I mean, this is awesome. I'm glad to be on here. I think last time we all met was 2021, and that was when this all started. I had not even at that point seen one of my flags completed, so I didn't even know what it looked like. I was doing the 222-mile ruck march as well, and I was about to get ready to do my first dedication of a flag. So that was where it all began, I guess you could say. And I think it's been pretty good. For those of you who don't know what I do, military and first responders, their families, when they lose their person, they will register their name with us. And then throughout the year, I'm finding different locations with high foot traffic that would honor them best. And we build these memorial flags with their sewn uniform name tapes that they wore in service. And we display them permanently, and they're all over the country. So it's been a wild ride. I will say that, see, it says 2025 now. The first couple of years was a hard learning lesson, a lot of stuff, trying to figure out how to run a foundation while still being active duty. But we've gotten into some airports now, distilleries, breweries, stadiums, VFWs. So we're really getting out there as far as locations go. And we've got about 15 flags right now. So it's going really well. I will say, though, there's a couple, you guys let me know if you have questions or anything like that, but just a couple points I wanted to hit on while I was on here. So over the last few years, I did learn a couple lessons that might be able to be applied to anyone listening maybe. So 2021, I started all this. And then in 2023, I kind of hit a real downward spiral and dealing with a lot of mental health stuff. And so what was interesting about that is I do this all day, every day. So when I'm not working, I'm, honoring those and raising awareness to suicide and all those stuff. But but I was really in a bad place. And luckily I've got a great tribe of people that, they're there to help me out through this process and building these flags. And I'm gone 200 days out of the year for work. So, they pick up a lot of the slack that I can't do when I'm gone. But I was able to turn on the smile for most of events. I was there for the events. I laughed when everyone else laughed. And but none of them really knew that I was like struggling pretty hard. So I took a whole year off after some stuff happened. And so my flags and everything just kind of paused. I didn't even give any warning. Obviously, I just kind of stopped. And so I always look when I figured you guys might ask, well, how many flags do you have out? Only 15. I don't really consider that to be a lot for how long.
Only 15. How far was that last march you just did?
222 miles.
Yeah, 222 miles.
So only 15. Yeah.
Only
One
15 and only
is amazing.
20 miles.
Yeah. But I mean, it was good. So I mean, like, but yeah, that year kind of like just disappeared, and it kind of like really was hard to get back up and going again. But what I learned from that is you really got to, as is a lot of responsibility. I know we don't want to put all the responsibility on people that are going through depression and suicidal, all those dark things that people go down. I know we put a lot of pressure on the friends and family to kind of notice the signs. But if someone's really doesn't want anyone to know, and they're good at hiding their stuff, like they won't know. So it is a little bit of responsibility if you're aware of yourself going down that spiral. Leaning on, I really had to dig deep and learn who was on my side and how I can use them to my advantage. And once I took that step and like outed myself, essentially, it got a lot better. And it was a really cool moment to experience it, because it's like practice what you preach. And I felt like a hypocrite the whole time. I was like, practice. I was voicing and being the voice for the voiceless, of course, the ones that aren't here anymore. But you got to kind of like listen to yourself sometimes. So that was I say all that to say that I it's been a rough 5 years, but it's been really good. And so now we're doing new things. We've got flags going into I just got a call from the Steelers stadium, so might be doing something at their stadium. So it's good.
Very
Well,
nice.
that's awesome. Yeah, we talk about mental health a lot on the show, and you said something right there about hypocrite. You're 100%. You weren't being one. All right, you were a human being, and I actually get really triggered by this a lot, because we have people come on here and tell their recovery stories all the time. And we're a big fan of Ben Owen, who says that if you should recover loudly so that other people can, follow, right? Or maybe ask, find out, do it right. So now let's just say somebody is in recovery, or somebody says, hey, you shouldn't feel this way, or you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't drink so much, you shouldn't watch so much of this, you shouldn't, whatever, pick a vice, right? And then if I go off and do the same thing 3 weeks later because I make a mistake, it doesn't make me a hypocrite. But if I notice you doing something destructive and I should say something about it. I'm my brother's keeper. If I see Dave doing something destructive, I should say something to him, even if I'm going to do the same damn thing tomorrow. Right? And I hope somebody tomorrow says, hey, chill. Right? Like you stop. Right? Like this not going the right way. Again, the word hypocrite is thrown out so easily. You weren't being one, my man. You were being a human being. Right? And you're going to go down your paths, and you brought up something else. And I know, again, it's it's the verbiage, the way it's said, like, who can I use? Who around me in my circle is positive? Who can I use? Right. And I'll say this for everybody else listening, you might not be that person for everybody, but I guarantee you there's somebody in your circle where you're that person, where you're that person that somebody wants to use you to get better. So be that person that can be approachable. And again, you're not a hypocrite if you're not that person for that situation, right? It's just maybe not at that time. But explain the process of how these flags get done. How do people donate? How do people help you get it to where it's going? Like, just kind of give the overall picture from beginning to end of one flag.
Yeah. So, like I said, so when someone passes away, so we have three aspects to our flag. It's name donors and the flag hosts, which are the ones that display the flags indefinitely. And then it's the impact of the families that carry it on throughout the year. So when you lose someone, you register a name. We build a registry, basically. I've got about 600 names of military and first responders, their cause of death, the name that they want on their actual uniform name tape that they wore in service. And then throughout the year, as I find these locations, I go to I basically tell them what we're doing and what we're trying to have the flag displayed. And if the flag host is open to it and able to put the donation together to help cover the cost of it, we'll sew all the names on, we'll get it framed. A lot of them are framed, and we'll post it up there. And the cool thing about this is what makes this, I like to focus on this part because, you know, when I started this, it was all about like just honoring the fallen. But I learned a lesson that was kind of interesting. I didn't know existed until I saw this all the way through. As I started to see flags being completed and talking to the families, I realized that yes, we're doing this to raise awareness, but we're also, and we're honoring the fallen, but this is really helpful to a lot of the families, because a lot of the families, the gold stars, the blue stars, they have this forever mindset that if they stop saying the person's name, their memory's gone. And I mean, it's not always logical, of course, when, you know, people are not going to forget about their loved ones and their families and friends, but they want to hear that. They want that name to be said. So this is kind of all, these flags are visual reminders to the families that we're still a grateful nation. You know, we're still remember their names. And so that's an impact that I didn't expect necessarily, or I didn't exactly know was going to come out of all this. And so I'm seeing a lot more of that, which just kind of pushes everything and drives it in the full force. So it's really awesome. And so, yeah, so when it comes to helping out, honestly, so there's 3 things that I always ask people for help for. And donations are great, but believe it or not, it's not the most important thing all the time. So for me, I'm trying to get in front of any organizations that have people who've lost somebody. I just want to get in front of those, you know, blast my face all over in my mission, all over that organization, and let me tell them to, hey, here's how you register a name. It's free. Just go on there and register, because I want this registry to get as many names as possible, because they're out there. I don't want more people to pass away, but I want my awareness to what we're doing to be out there so we can honor more. And then, so that's getting in front of people who have names to donate. That's a big one. Second one is anyone who has access to a relationship with a business or an organization that would be wanting to have a flag like mine displayed in their establishment, their building, their venue. And that's the hardest part for me is getting to a decision maker. So a lot of the time, especially out of state, everyone wants, I get emails, can you get it in Colorado? Can you get it here? And all I can do is really just Google and then like email, but my stuff will go to spam all the time. I just look like a donor or someone asking for money. So a lot of times it's like, if you know any business, a brewery, a distillery, anything, and you have a decision maker that you could introduce me to, like give me the handshake over, then I can do the rest. It's just, that's the biggest thing. And so getting in front of those and cutting through the red tape. So that would be the second.
I just shot Ryan a text message. I guarantee he would put at least one up in his Vail tasting room in Colorado, if not one at the distillery as well.
For 10th Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just shot him that. And I have a question for you as well.
Yeah.
You said you had 600 names in your database right now?
Probably about 500 or 600.
Okay. How many go on a flag usually?
So it depends on the size. We have 3 sizes. And honestly, the bigger the flag gets, the names don't really change a whole lot, but it's 73 names, 200 names, and like 224 names. So the biggest flag we got is a 9-line headquarters, and it's like a 5-foot by 8-foot flag.
Okay.
But it's bigger than it is, but the names are about 224.
Okay.
If
you
can
do
Vietnam
a video,
veterans do it too as well?
Yeah. So the big thing everyone always asks, like, who qualifies? It doesn't matter how they pass. If they served, they sacrificed. If they sacrificed, they served. So whether they died in service, out of service, doesn't matter as long as they served. So and anyone, that served.
So you wanted to get more names on this. If you were to do a video screen capture of how to put the names on there, and I'm down to help you out with this. We can talk about it offline.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll post it everywhere. We'll post it on our socials. I mean, I've got your website up. We could do a live demo right now if you wanted.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
I mean, it's up to you guys. But I'll if you don't mind, let me just quickly get the last thing before I forget it. As far as what we're doing, so one of the other things we're doing, we just started this year. So this year's going off. We're doing really good. We're getting a lot of people reaching out to me. So this is good. So we're doing 50 flags, 50 states this year. So I'm doing a fundraising campaign where I'm looking for 10 sponsors, and they're going to be lifetime sponsors. And They are a business, an organization, or an individual person on behalf of the business, but 10 sponsors that will pay donate $3,000. And what that comes with is basically each sponsor is providing us 5 flags with their donation. And we're going to put one. I'm basically going through every state and I'm finding locations in every single state this year. And as I get a new sponsor come in out of those 10 sponsors, we're just pushing them out. And we want to officially be nationwide by the end of the year. So we've got about 7 sponsors left. And so if anyone has and a lot of the times as I'm going to go through looking for flag hosts, sometimes I'll say, hey, you're already getting a flag. Do you want to just go ahead and be one of our national sponsors? And it's a one-time donation. And we will forever, everything we do, we tag these sponsors in everything from now on because they were part of the foundation that got us nationwide. So it's something I'm trying out, but it's being received pretty well. We just need more sponsors or 7 more sponsors. So that's the other thing. But yeah.
We'll let us know anytime you have an advertisement go out. Of course, we'll help you with it and put it on our platforms. I'm writing down a few people I'm going to call for certain states. I know Chris has already talked about Colorado and 10th Mountain. That should be pretty easy, actually. That one.
Are you in
100%.
Virginia already?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I've got pending calls, but I've got like interactions, but nothing solidified yet.
I've got some.
Maybe Pinnacle wants to do Arizona. I don't know. Or
they're
they're not Pinnacle anymore, are they? Dave.
No, they're not. But they'll do it. I guarantee you they would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have somebody in Virginia I'll speak to on your behalf as well. He's another distillery owner, Marine veteran. They've got this.
Mom, if you're still watching, and Guy, I'm sure you're watching, the country club out there could use something like this as well.
Yeah.
And since Guy is in charge of the budget over there, just saying.
Yeah, Guy.
This might be a thing.
We got 2 guys now. We got 2 guys.
We've got Guy and a guy.
We got 2 guys.
Yeah. But honestly, that seriously is like people think, I mean, donations are great and they will be important and relevant for sure to actually pull everything off. But you'd be surprised. It's the hardest part is just getting yeses through the red tape of every state.
That's sales, baby. You gotta always be closing ABCs. You gotta find that decision maker.
Yeah.
Gosh, you got me thinking about something.
Man.
You got me thinking about something. I want to kind of circle back to it. It's, I was talking to a good friend of mine and we were talking about how it's really, really good to be busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a lot of fun to be busy. It means you're doing stuff, you're working. And then it also reminded me of, like I said, I like to, take a break, sit down, play some Fortnite, do whatever. But eventually I got too many things running through my head that I got to go accomplish. Like, we got to go get this done. Got to do something. And I hit a low a few times where it's like, I need to take my phone. I need to go put it in that box over there. I need to go, it gets heavy, and when you're doing something like you're doing, I'm going to let you answer this before I have to give my opinion because it's you. It's your, like, if you don't want to share it, then don't. But if you do, what do you think attributed to you getting to that low point? And I know it's way more than one thing because I always talk about it's not linear, but what was that weight? Like, what do you think it was?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I know the biggest chunk of it is I've always been the life of the party everywhere since I was a kid. So as you start to experience real life trauma things and you start to sense yourself, like you start feeling less like the self that everybody remembers you to be. You start feeling a little bit like an alien. And then you go back home and you're around people that can't relate to some of the things. And so you just kind of feel like a wallflower. I never thought I would be that socially awkward. And I just find myself in those socially awkward situations. And I started to just kind of like separate myself more and more. And then I had kind of felt this pressure to always be the entertainer or the positive light in everyone else. I'm always helping everyone else, but really just staying busy doing that, not ever really working out what I got going on. So that was quickly, and that just kind of, enough of it happens long enough. You just kind of like, close the door for a little bit and just got to figure it out.
And real quick before Nick goes, and I think this is like the message that we always present to everybody and we tell everybody, you identified that there was an issue going on with yourself, right? And then you said, I need to seek help and I need to do something, and a lot of people are just afraid of taking that step. And then you even mentioned you're doing a lot better now, right? Like this is our therapy, but I'll openly say that I've gone to counseling. Like if you're out there and struggling, just go get help. Like that's the one thing that I don't understand how to like combat that, because a lot of, especially individuals that are still serving, they're worried about their career, which I understand. But like I say in my opening message, like you're more of a man and a warrior if you say something needs to give. I need help. So
Well, I
if
could
you're out
actually
there watching, yeah,
I
go
can
ahead.
actually
Go ahead.
speak to what you're saying. So for me, I was always one of those too. My job is super clearance heavy, and so it's like, oh,
Yeah.
what is that going to, what's that going to do? But when I went after this whole spiral, I went down and I started a new job that was just as important. I had just took the leap of faith and I went through the official Army channels to see what was going to happen. I mean, I did it slowly and I baby stepped and I was careful about how I said things because I wanted to make sure I was not just jumping all into something that was going to backfire. So I took a chance and I went through behavioral health voluntarily, talked to the guy. I didn't even really like the situation. I wasn't a big fan of the person I was talking to, but I was just going through the motions to kind of like see what's this process look like and what's the impact. And I used it more as a teaching point. I asked him like, what can I say? What can I not say? And he was upfront about that. But at the end of the day, when I realized I was liking the idea of what I was doing, just not the person I was talking to, I talked to my PCM and all she said is all you got to do is go do your research on somebody off post that you would feel more comfortable with. Go shop around. And if you find someone off post, we'll put in the referral and we'll put you right off post. And that's exactly what my PCM did. And now I have a person off post that's not really military affiliated. They're just TRICARE sends me over. I got 40 sessions and I can re-up whenever I want. And it's great.
And,
No, that's
and
legit.
to that real quick, because I know times have changed, right? Like I always bring up this story back in 2010 when it was, PHA or whatever, the one that we did after deployments and stuff, where you're just like, no, like, and then 2010 was the first time where I felt like something was off after our second deployment, which was really zero action, but I knew something was going on. And I went to mental health at Fort Liberty, back then, Bragg, and they were going to put me into the program, but then like the Sergeant First Class board was coming up and she advised to maybe just get a couple of counseling sessions. This is now back in 2010, right? Which I then took, and sadly that probably happened to tons of soldiers. And then maybe, the worst case scenario happened and they ended up committing suicide because they were scared of their career. But what I've seen on Veteran Trash Talk, as we've interviewed pilots even, like, did that affect you in any way career-wise? Like, I do feel like the DoD is getting better. I do feel like soldiers are getting taken care of a little bit more than they were back then compared to where it's now. I don't know if you can really talk about that, but like for somebody who's active duty and serving that's watching this right now and he's going through some stuff, like, does it affect your
I would
DoD look like right now? Like,
yeah, I mean, I walked in, the first thing I wanted to eliminate that floating in my head the whole time. To give it an honest effort, I started off the conversation, and I recommend anyone do that. Be as transparent as possible and say, you make an
100%.
appointment, behavioral health is going to take you, and you go in there and just say, hey, this is my concern. I don't know what I can and cannot say. And they will blatantly tell you, like, the things we have to report is A, B, and C. And,
of course.
and anything in between that is totally fair game. And we'll let you know. You can even say, can you please let me know if it seems like we're going to one of those directions? And as long as you know your left and right limits, and if you feel like you want to have a little bit more flexibility, that's what I did. So I went off post, and then the left and right limits, they're still going to do their job and make sure you're safe and everyone else 100%. Is around you safe. But you have way more like flexibility to where you can really have a bad day and say probably, the worst things in your mind, and they're not rushing to base to tell, like, you just got to build that relationship with that person, and they will take care of you.
Yeah, and especially if you're a leader, and this is my last point to that, especially if you're a leader, like, it also sends out a message like, hey, I'm going to seek some help. Something's wrong with me. It sends a message to your lower enlisted soldiers. Like, I'm just from the era where you don't even go to sick call, right? Like, that was a bad thing back then. Like, you're, sick call ranger or whatever.
Cadences making fun of the profile PT.
Yeah, exactly. and we've gotten a lot better. So it's great to hear that. And that, I'm sure that'll help somebody out who's specifically active duty right now. Is like, I'm a little worried to go get some help because I'm not going to get promoted or they're going to take me out of position. So yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear, man. It makes me happy.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that, Anthony, because I did a book of Earl a few shows ago. It said it's easier done than said, and I say that to the people who are listening that are those warriors, that are those people that love to go do things, expand their horizons, like try hard things, right? Because you probably at one point said it, I'm going to do this. Right. And then once you say it, then you go do it. And the doing part was easy. Whether or not you get it successfully is not necessarily easy, but you went and you tried it. Right. And going on Dave's point, it's like, say that you have a problem. All right. Say that you have a demon. And then, you said, it's okay. Find that circle that gets you out of it. Find those people that can help you. It doesn't mean you have to alienate all your friends for that moment. Maybe for that moment you do alienate some of them because they're not the ones that are going to help you. Right. But that doesn't mean you hate them. And so I really appreciate you sharing that. And, I talked to Ben Owen when I was feeling down. I go, do you ever get shit, man, what else am I supposed to do? And he's like, it takes that person in your circle. This is what he said. It takes that person in your circle to sit you down and say, slow down.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think isolation is like the answer. A lot of people go, I just need to, I just need to go be alone for a little bit. And that could be dangerous too. So if you're one of those people that maybe just needs to be away from chaos, I wouldn't say replace that with isolation either. I think it's just, find, you got to find this happy medium and you just got to find someone you respect, someone that's doing something that you admire. And I think usually you'll find that those type of mentorships are going to be the person that can at least help get you in an environment that works better for you.
Right. And again, who are we always rude to? We're usually rude to the people that care about us the most. Right. Why? Because we know they'll forgive us. Right. We know we can. And it's like I said, I got triggered by your, I felt like a hypocrite. No, you weren't a hypocrite. You're a human being. Everybody knows that I like to throw a bourbon back once in a while. It happens. Right. I love to smash some bourbon. But if I'm telling you you're drinking too much right now, if I'm telling you that you're smoking too much weed right now because you're a freaking, you're like, I like a little bit of the THC too. Now that I'm retired, I actually got it when I was active, no big deal. But if I'm telling you,
no, he's serious. He had a prescription.
I was prescribed THC active, but anyway, if I'm like, hey,
pill format, yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't take another hit, homie. Right? Oh, you're a hypocrite. You smoke weed. No, I'm just
moderation.
I'm just letting you know that right now you're about to go stand in that corner for 3 hours, and I want to the night's over after this hit, bro. So kind of knock it out of your hand. Stop it. Right. So those of you watching out there, don't be afraid to be your brother's keeper because you make mistakes. Right. You're not a hypocrite for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd say also if you heard something so I'm on one side of the coin, but if anyone else listening to this isn't able to relate to me, but they can relate to maybe seeing me look for someone like me in your life as a mentor, maybe that's what you can do proactively is identify people like me in your circle that might be the life of the party or whatever the case may be, but you could be a mentor as well. So this could be for people struggling, but it also could be for people who have a lot of people looking up to them and you have a little bit more power in that sense.
Right. And Buddy talks about that. He's like, your validation comes later. If you're a good person and you don't feel like you're a good person because nobody's really you're not feeling that pat on the back. And he's like, if you're still doing the right thing, just give it a few years. That validation will come. Someone's going to call you and be like, hey, man, I need your opinion on something. Right? Like that. Hey, what do you think about this? And you're like, oh, damn. Okay. That validation comes because they're finding you. And that's what I was kind of saying earlier. Be that person that you don't know when it's going to come, but be that person that somebody will reach out to and say, hey, can you help me with this? Right. Yeah. But no, hey, thanks for coming back on.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal what you're doing, what you've taken on. And so let us try to help you. Again, whatever you have for advertising, send it to me. You have me on Facebook, my personal page too. Send it to me. Like we'll advertise it for you. We'll try to get the word out as much as we can. But yeah, we can. This is such a cool thing. I remember when we talked about it the first time, and I'm so glad I started seeing it on Facebook again because they're gonna put.
Yeah, I hadn't seen anything either, man. Like you were always coming across my feed with your dog and everything. Like
because Buddy always says this, and he's not here, but the universe speaks to you. And if you're not seeing somebody or hearing from somebody you usually hear from, reach out to them, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, we screwed that up, but I think it was it's coming through again. Let us help you. Give us a chance to help you. Don't be afraid to reach out to us for help. Hey, do you know anybody in this state? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. We'll put it to our community. Maybe they do.
I'll put together like an information email of those, an explanation of what all three things are I'm looking for, and then you guys, if you guys know anyone that fits those three categories, by all means, you put me in an email or give me an email, and I'll do the work. But I'll just give you guys an information email. That way, you guys kind of have a summarized version of what it is I could use.
If you want to do a walkthrough video of how to add names, get with me. We'll record it. We'll church it up, and we will we'll disseminate it everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Hey, thanks for coming on, Anthony. Thanks for sharing your story. Again, it's going to help somebody.
Here, I'll quickly show you guys what the flag looks like, just because I have it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
We don't want to see Dave's face.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Hey, what's that weird symbol up there with like that globe?
It's only the best symbol.
Yeah, so each flag has its own.
It's better than the Dallas Cowboys symbol there on the bottom left.
So each one's got its own number too. So we give each flag its number, and then when we are done dedicating a flag and we push out to all the families involved with that flag, we'll let them know, hey, you've got flag number 15 in this place. And they collect these flags essentially. So a lot of these families will travel throughout the year, and they'll try and stop by wherever that next flag is they have. So they collect the flyers for each flag. So it's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
All right. Thanks, Anthony. Yeah. Anytime you want to come on and give us an update, just reach out to me.
Yeah, of course.
Even if you just want to be a guest host on the show, and then take a 2 or 5 minute segment spot to where you talk about it for a little bit, say, hey, we're going to be here for a little bit, and then just hang out and shoot the shit with the boys. This is the best. Like I said, that's what Dave said. It's our therapy. But all right, Dave, close us out.
All right. Well, this was a great episode. Thanks again. Love everything, especially, talking about some of the issues that you were going through and how you overcame them. And those are always very beneficial for our entire community. So for anybody that tuned in late, go to VeteranTrashTalk.com. That is our website. It's going to have the links to YouTube, which is, I don't know, Nick might have got us off of YouTube by the way he was talking earlier during his.
Man, as we talk about football.
We're still all right.
Go to YouTube, rewatch the episode.
The B gap, the C gap, and the D gap. If you keep going up the A gap, the defense is going to figure it out.
Go to YouTube, rewatch the episode, smash that like button, subscribe, okay? It helps the cause. It helps promote things like A-Guy is doing, all right? Amazing stuff. Go to shop.veterantrashtalk.com. That has all of our merch. Today, I am wearing the Only Infantry, all right? One of my favorite. You can scan that right there in that QR code. And then Nick is wearing the Sweetheart Rounds, okay? So that's coming up that holiday, so go buy a shirt for your loved one.
Not a holiday.
And it's a holiday for everybody, right? Yeah. Anyway, love y'all. Faceman VTT out. Boom.